What's up, YouTubers? This is your boy, Big Metroid Fan 12, coming to you with another video. Now, it's no secret that LJN pretty much left a legacy for itself in the video game industry for having the reputation of making bad video games for various consoles, from the NES to the Segas, in the Sega Genesis, before it went out of business during the 90s, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it had pretty much made a lot of its notable bad games for the NES, you know what I'm saying, to the point that there's a lot of videos that's featuring LJN games from pretty much different angles, like top 10 LJN games that was made by Mojo.com YouTube page to angry LJN reviews / rants, i.e. the angry video game nerd, including certain LJN defenders, you know what I'm saying? but me myself, I played and owned my fair share of bad LJN games. And the 10 that stand out in my mind were the ones that were released on the NES, you know what I'm saying? And the top 10 worst LJN games that I have in mind and that I will mention are either pretty much major turd fest or are pretty much flawed, you know what I'm saying? Now, I'll start with number 10, which is A Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, the game is loosely based on the movie franchise. And one of the problems that I have with this particular game is that it borrows Castlevania 2's plot, where Simon Belmont pretty much collects the body parts of Dracula and try to trap him in his castle. Now, with the plot of A Nightmare on Elm Street, he got these nameless, forgettable characters that's trying to do the same thing with Freddy Krueger but what they're doing is collecting his bones to burn them in a local high school. So they could have had a different plot for the game. Should most likely borrowing the plot from one of the movies, specifically the last one that came out before this game did, you know what I'm saying? Then another thing that I didn't necessarily like about this game is the graphics and design didn't age well. And pretty much the soundtrack is pretty inconsistent with the movie franchise in terms of they didn't borrow the soundtrack from any of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, you know what I'm saying? So it really didn't make sense not to borrow the movie soundtrack in this game, you know. So these are my reasons why I don't like Nightmare on Elm Street on the NES, and this is number 10 on the worst LJN games. Number 9 is pretty much Beetlejuice. Now, it has practically the same problems as the Nightmare on Elm Street in terms of graphics, design, and not using the soundtrack from the movie, you know what I'm saying? And plus, it also has the problems of the power-ups in terms of them not lasting a real long time when you use them. Plus, it has one of the hardest first stage bosses in video game history, and it pretty much don't help that it's one of the most frustrating games in the LJN video game library. You know what I'm saying? Now number 8 is Terminator 2 Judgment Day. pretty much like Beetlejuice and Nightmare on Elm Street. The soundtrack is nowhere to be found in the game in terms of the movie soundtrack, and the fact that the graphics didn't age well. Plus, the gameplay is really repetitive, and the second stage is the hardest second stage that I've ever played. And if you happen to get to the final stage, you're not gonna find any ammo for your weapons before fighting the T-1000. If that's the happens, you're gonna have to use your fist against them, which honestly don't make any sense to me. Now number 7 in this case is Alien 3. Now I would say as far as all of the video game adaptations of movies that's on this list, this one is practically the least faithful adaptation on the list. Why do I say this? Is because it was a game you have numerous xenomorphs and numerous facehuggers that you have to fight, even though the movie has one xenomorph and one facehugger in the entire movie. Then there's the fact that Ripley is using a flamethrower, M16 grenade, and a grenade launcher, even though there's no weapons in the entire film version. Then there's the fact that Ripley leaves alive, even though the end of the movie establishes that she pretty much dies by the fact that she jumps into the batch of metal while the chest burster is coming out of her. So my main gripe is that this Alien 3 wasn't the best movie to have a video game adaptation. You know what I'm saying? It would have made better sense to have a video game adaptation of the second Alien movie, because the Alien 3 for NES has more in common with that movie than the Alien 3 movie. Now, number 6 would be Wolverine. Now, to be quite honest, the reason I picked this game as number 6 is because the only characters from the X-Men comic book franchise that's in the game are Wolverine, of course, Jubilee, Sabretooth, and I do believe the other guy is Havoc, who heals you for a limited amount of time. Now, another thing is that when you jumping from one platform to another, and you pretty much in the highest point of a particular stage, and you trying to get to a lower platform, it's going to be hard to see those other platforms below you, especially if you drop it down real far. The reason I bring this up is because you're in real danger of falling into a pit. Then there's the fact that once you get into into rage mode, Wolverine is practically uncontrollable, and it's easy to fall into a pit when you do that. You know what I'm saying? Even though he's temporarily invincible. Then there's the fact that once you press the claws, you can use the claws, it depletes your health, which doesn't make any sense to me. Why would LJN program the claws to reduce your health? Of course, they would be adding logic to an LJN game. You know what I'm saying? Now, number 5 on the list is Jaws. Now, Jaws has the same problem as Nightmare on Elm Street, where you have this nameless, forgettable protagonist, but it's not nearly as bad. But at the same time, Jaws is the only character from the movie that's in the game, pretty much like Freddy is. The game is rather boring because you go back and forth between two harbors to buy different items, but the currency in the game is seashells, which practically makes no sense to me. And you're constantly getting stopped by something where you have to go underwater to fight jellyfish and stingrays and stuff, and it gets like boring real quick. No, so there was no reason to have this particular jaw. There's no reason for this plot to exist in a Jaws game, the design and stuff and all that. Now the next game on the list is Back to the Future 2 and 3, the combo pack. With this one, you have two bad games for the price of one, where neither game are faithful to the source material. Much like Alien 3, the fact now, as far as the Back to the Future Part 2 is concerned, it does have Power of Love, but that's the only music from the movie from the trilogy that's finding its way in the game. Back to the Future Part 3, it don't have the soundtrack from the movie, from that particular movie either. And then you have to scramble a lot of words that's, to me, completely unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? Plus the graphics in both games in this combo pack aged poorly. The gameplay is poor. You know what I'm saying? That's all I have to say about Back to the Future 2 and 3 combo pack. Now number 3 is Back to the Future. That's all you have to do is take what I said about Back to the Future 2 and 3 for the NES and just apply it to Back to the Future. Just that it just happened to be like more difficult than Back to the Future Part 2 and 3. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of things that's in this game is simply not in the movie, except for say Marty and the mini games are borrowed from the movie, and that's about it. So you have the malt shop, the trying to avoid your mother's kisses in the classroom. Then there's playing poor 8-bit rendition of Johnny Be Good. You know what I'm saying? That's about it. Then you go try to get back to 1985. But other than that, it's just a bad game. Now number 2 is the Uncanny X-Men. The fact of the matter is that the game, the gameplay, and pretty much the gameplay, soundtrack, graphics, and design are just plain ugly. You know what I'm saying? The gameplay and soundtrack are specifically uninspired. You know what I'm saying? Then you have to get to the final stage. You have to beat the 4 previous stages, then use a password, which doesn't make any sense to me. Why would LJN put? Why is it necessary for LJN to have a password, to program a password, rather to get access to the final stage? Again, I'm just putting too much logic into video game programming, but I'm just for LJN. But I'm just saying that there's no reason to put a password in to get access to the final stage. And then there's the fact that they pretty much put the password on the game pack itself. The main problem is that people are not gonna pay attention to that. I know I didn't. It was just outright lazy and stupid for them to do that. Because nobody wasn't going to find it, especially since the print is so small, you know. Then there's number one on the list of far as Japan LJN games, which is NFL football. A game that is rarely mentioned as one of the worst LJN games. I don't know why. Maybe because not too many people played it. But this is my reason why this is pretty much the worst LJN game. Even though it's a NFL licensed game, it don't have a season mode where you have a schedule, team stats, individual stats, and the standings. Then there's the fact that the graphics and the designs are just butt ugly. Okay, they're just butt ugly. The gameplay is slow. There's no soundtrack outside of the fact that you hear music in the main screen and the selection screen, but even that's awful, you know what I'm saying? And NFL football has all of the trappings of being a major turf fest like all the other games that I mentioned. You know, with that being said, if there's any LJN game that you don't like, or you have your own top 10 worst LJN games, just mention it in the comment section. Maybe we'll have some of the games that I mentioned that you will end up mentioning in your list. If you like this top 10 video, don't hesitate to click the thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe. This is your boy Big Metroid Fan 12 signing off.